This is what a $70,000 mistake looks like, and you're making it every time you walk into the gym. Let me explain. Modern gyms are not designed to make you strong. They are designed to do one thing: sell memberships. To do that, they sell you the illusion of strength, and you're buying it. In other words, gyms aren't building strength. They're making you dependent on a feeling your brain can't stop chasing: the pump. Here's exactly what's happening. Everything starts with the mirrors in the gym. They're not just there to decorate the walls, they're here to mess with your head. You see, gym mirrors aren't like normal mirrors. They're a little flatter and a little brighter. Also, they add strong lights from above, and together, it makes your muscles look bigger, your waist look tighter, and your body more defined than it really is. It's a small trick, but it works. When you do a set of curls, you're not just feeling the muscle get tight, you're watching it happen in real time. You see the biceps swell, the veins pop. That visual feedback is instant, and it hits your brain with an insane hit of dopamine. You start to fall in love with that reflection. But that reflection is a lie. It's just a temporary muscle pump that fades in less than an hour, and the damage it causes can last for years. But because it's so addictive, you start to add more reps, more sets, you lift heavier and longer, not because your body needs it, but because the pump feels so damn good.
So, I'm in heaven.
And that's a big mistake. But it's exactly what the gym wants, because that's how they make money, by keeping you coming back to those mirrors. That's where the $70,000 mistake begins, because all it takes is one bad rep, and suddenly you're not in the gym anymore. You're in a hospital waiting for surgery. You see, when you chase that feeling, your muscles get extremely tired, and a muscle that is tired can no longer lift the weight correctly. So you start to cheat on the form just to get pumped. And instead of using muscles, the weight goes to places it shouldn't, like your joints, tendons, and lower back. Those parts were not made for that kind of abuse. They are weaker, and under that pressure, they snap. Not when the weight is heaviest, but when your form is weakest. That's how you end up with a torn rotator cuff, where you pay $25,000 for surgery and rehab, or a herniated disc, which costs $30,000 minimum, especially if you need injections or a hospital stay, or a snapped bicep tendon, another $15,000, plus months of recovery. Now, if you want to train safely without guessing which exercises are risky, grab our guide. It walks you through exactly what to avoid and what to do instead. Train pain-free for life. And keep watching. It gets worse, because even if you lift with perfect form or avoid the mirrors and pump, modern gyms are still destroying you. Think about it. Why are there 20 easy-to-use machines in the gym, but only 1 or 2 spots for squat racks? That's not a mistake. It's a business strategy. A gym that looks busy sells more memberships, meaning people bouncing between machines, doing quick sets, and pumping out reps. That sells the image of a successful gym. But a guy resting between heavy squats for 3 minutes? That looks like wasted space. To fix their wasted space problem, they just sell you the idea that machines are safer and more efficient than free weights, but they're not. Take the Smith machine. It's marketed as a safe way to squat, but your body isn't designed to move up and down in a perfectly straight line like a robot. It needs to move in a natural arc. It's the same with all the other machines, like leg extensions or seated chest press. They isolate one muscle, which looks good in the mirror, but they do all the balancing for you. This means the small, deep stabilizer muscles that actually protect your joints get weaker and weaker because they are never used. This creates a dangerous imbalance. When you lift something heavy, your deep stabilizer muscles activate first. They lock your shoulders, knees, or spine into a strong, protected position. Only then do your muscles kick in to lift the weight. It's a two-step process that keeps you safe. But machines teach your body to skip the first step. That's a big problem. It's like learning to ride a bike with training wheels and never taking them off. Then one day, you need to use your strength in the real world. But there are no training wheels to help you. All it takes is just one wrong move, and boom, you're injured, waiting for a 4-figure hospital bill. And the gym markets these machines as a safe option, just without mentioning the long-term damage they can cause. You know what else is disturbing? The music. It's loud, fast, and hyped. Beats that make you feel like you're in a nightclub, not a gym. That's not random. In most gyms, the music never even stops. There's no break, no silence, no time to think, and that's the entire point. Real strength training requires quiet moments. It demands rest between heavy sets so you can recover and focus. But silence doesn't look energetic, and it doesn't sell memberships. The constant, repetitive beat creates a trance-like state where training turns into repetition. One machine, one set, then another, without much awareness. When you're on autopilot, you stop feeling the difference between good pain and bad pain. You're just following the beat that helps you push through the pain. You think you're being tough or pushing through your limits, but what you're actually doing isn't toughness, it's stupidity, because you stop paying attention to how your body feels. You ignore the little click in your knee or shoulders, telling yourself it's just part of the workout. But it's not. Each time you ignore that pain, you are causing a small tear that adds more damage to a spot that is already getting weaker. Then one day, during a normal workout, with a weight you've lifted 100 times before, something snaps. A tendon, a ligament, or literally anything in your body. And once it goes, there's no quick fix. Just pain, surgery, and months of recovery. Now, do you know what is even worse than music in the gym? It's what you breathe. Every time you walk into a gym and take a deep breath, you're filling your lungs with something terrible. First, gyms use powerful chemicals to clean equipment. These are strong enough to kill bacteria and viruses instantly. Sounds safe, right? Well, the problem is that these chemicals don't disappear completely after cleaning. They are still in the air. You just don't notice them, but your lungs certainly do. Then look at the floors. Most gyms use rubber mats, and every time someone drops a heavy weight on the floor, tiny bits of rubber break loose. These bits are so small that your eyes can't even see them, but they don't just disappear, they float up into the air too. Now, here's the biggest problem: gym ventilation. Ideally, gyms should pump in fresh air from outside and push dirty air out, but that's not what usually happens. Instead, most gyms simply recycle the same stale air all day long. This means every chemical, every bit of rubber dust, and even the carbon dioxide people breathe out stay trapped inside. And guess who ends up breathing it all in? You do. But don't worry, it gets worse. When you exercise, your lungs open wider and pull air in faster. You breathe deeper, harder, and more often, and that means you're inhaling even more of these harmful particles. These particles irritate your lungs and cause inflammation, and your lungs don't like this, so they start fighting back. At first, you won't notice anything, but soon, breathing might feel harder. You might cough more or feel tired, even when you rest. Slowly, your body finds it harder to recover after workouts. Your immune system starts to weaken, and testosterone levels decrease. Eventually, some people even develop asthma or breathing problems serious enough to require medical attention. All of this just because the gym didn't want to spend money on proper air system. If you think that sounds extreme, ask a surgeon. They see it all the time. 1 second, guys are pressing dumbbells like it's just another workout, and the next, a loud pop with a blinding pain, and their pec muscle rolls up into their chest like a broken window shade. The dumbbell bench press is dangerous because of one thing: too much stretch under too much weight. When you lower the dumbbells too deep, your pec tendon gets pulled past its limit, all while holding heavy weight, and that's exactly when it snaps. The bigger the stretch, the higher the risk. And here's the scary part: it feels fine until the moment it doesn't. It happens instantly. No warning, no second chance. And when it does, you're looking at surgery and months of recovery. Most people make 3 deadly mistakes with dumbbell presses: going too deep, using too much weight, and bouncing the dumbbells. Going too deep means your pec tendon stretches like a rope until it rips. Using too much weight adds more force on the tendon, increasing the risk of a snap, and bouncing the dumbbells shocks the tendon, raising the chance of sudden rupture. One bad rep and boom, you're in a sling, scheduling surgery, and out of the gym for over 6 months. If you tear your pec, even a partial tear will need months of rehab just to get basic strength back, and a full rupture leaves surgery as your only option. Surgeons say that if you wait too long, the muscle starts to shrink and deform, making surgery less effective, and even with surgery, you'll never be as strong as before. So, if you want to avoid a trip to the hospital, please listen closely and pay attention for the next 20 seconds. Use a neutral grip with your palms facing each other to reduce stress on your shoulders and pec tendons. Stop at elbow level so you never go too deep, and use controlled reps with no bouncing or jerking. Also, try a slight incline of 15 to 30 degrees for less tendon stress and a safer press. If you ignore this, you might end up in surgery. And trust me, you don't want that. Fixing your bench press is smart, but what about the exercise that surgeons call the perfect disc herniation machine? Most lifters think back injuries happen from one bad rep, one heavy set, one mistake. But that's not how it works. There's an exercise you see in every gym. It's in every strength program and training plan, a move praised as a must-do for building power and muscle. But what no one tells you is that it's also destroying lifters' spines, one rep at a time. Every time you do it, your vertebrae grind against your spinal discs, squeezing them like a vice. At first, your body absorbs the stress, but over time, the discs weaken, crack, and eventually rupture. Think about squeezing a jelly donut from both ends. Eventually, the filling has to go somewhere. In your spine, that filling is the soft nucleus of your discs. When forced outward, it creates what doctors call a herniation. At first, you might only feel a little stiffness or tightness, nothing that stops you from training. And then, one normal rep takes you out. A sharp electric pain shoots down your leg. Your lower back locks up and the weight drops from your hands. Once that happens, your lifting career might be over. And the exercise responsible for this? You've probably been doing it for years, the Romanian deadlifts. A movement designed to build strength in your hamstrings, glutes, and lower back, but at a cost. The Romanian deadlift forces your spine into a high-risk position where small mistakes turn into life-changing injuries. And here's how this exercise sets you up for surgery. What makes this movement so dangerous is how small mistakes multiply the risk. Rounding your lower back increases disc pressure by 50%. Jerking the weight up instead of a smooth pull is another injury multiplier. And going beyond your technical capacity is like practically handing your surgeon a paycheck. Now, what happens if your spine gives out? In a mild case, you're in pain for months, struggling to sit, walk, or sleep. In a moderate case, you'll need spinal injections just to function. In severe cases, surgery becomes inevitable. A discectomy can cost $50,000 or more. A spinal fusion, where two vertebrae are permanently locked together, can exceed $100,000 and leave you with a stiff, immobile back for life. Imagine spending 6 figures just to walk without pain. And even then, insurance rarely covers it all. Even with the best surgery, rehab, and recovery plan, your spine will never be the same. So how do you protect your spine while still training your hamstrings and glutes? You don't have to give up training, but you do need to train smarter. To do Romanian deadlifts safely, keep a neutral spine, no rounding or excessive arching. Don't go too deep. Stop just below the knees to reduce disc pressure. Use controlled reps with no bouncing or jerking, slow and smooth wins. Use moderate weight, and if you have to break form to lift it, it's too heavy. My recommendation is to switch to safer alternatives. Try hip bridges to build glutes and hamstrings while keeping your back supported, and consider glute ham raises to strengthen your posterior chain without spinal compression. And use reverse hyperextensions, one of the safest ways to improve lower back strength while helping your spine recover. These exercises deliver the same results without the risk of spinal damage. Ignore this, and one day you might wake up unable to stand up straight. 60% of lifters will injure their shoulder at some point. A torn rotator cuff? Almost half never fully recover their strength. A major tear? You might need surgery. And even that won't bring you back to 100%. Most people don't even know their shoulder is breaking down until it's too late. There's no warning, no sharp pain, no obvious injury. Until one day, you pick up the dumbbells, and something feels wrong. A sudden, deep pain spreads through your shoulder and you drop the weight. You try to lift your arm, but it won't move. Your shoulder just failed, and once that happens, pray that you'll be able to lift again. Your shoulder is the most unstable joint in your body. Your knees, built for stability. Your hips, designed to handle massive force. Your shoulders, they rely on tiny, delicate tendons to keep them in place. And every time you do this exercise, you're slowly grinding those tendons down until they snap. The exercise I'm talking about is dumbbell lateral raises. It seems simple, but done the wrong way, it's a guaranteed path to injury. One common mistake is lifting too high. Once your arms go past shoulder level, your rotator cuff gets crushed between your bones. Another one is using too much weight. Your shoulders aren't meant to handle heavy lateral raises. The more weight you use, the more you tear through your tendons. And turning your palms down puts your rotator cuff in the worst possible position, increasing your risk of impingement. What happens if your shoulder gives out? A rotator cuff repair surgery can cost anywhere from $10,000 to $25,000. If the damage is bad enough, you might need full shoulder reconstruction, a procedure costing over $50,000. Even after surgery, your pressing strength will likely never fully return. If you still want to perform dumbbell lateral raises, you need to fix your form immediately. Turn your palms slightly up. keeping your thumbs higher than your pinkies to keep your rotator cuff in a safer position. Stop at shoulder height. Anything higher crushes your tendons. Control the weight. If you have to swing it up, it's too heavy. Also, you can try alternatives like cable lateral raises, which provide constant tension without grinding your joints, or lean away lateral raises, which change the angle to reduce impingement risk. And lastly, scapular plane raises keep your shoulders in a safer, more natural movement. These exercises build strong, wide shoulders without destroying them. Imagine a Jenga tower. At first, everything is stacked perfectly. Solid, stable, unshakable. Then, one block gets pulled out. The tower wobbles, but it stays up. A few more blocks get removed, and now the structure is weaker. It's still standing, but one wrong move, and the whole thing collapses. That's exactly what's happening to your lower back every time you do this exercise wrong. You won't feel the damage happening until it's already done and irreversible. This is a classic back builder exercise and one of the most dangerous movements for your lower spine. Let me introduce the barbell bent over rows. Unlike deadlifts, where your spine has the ground for support, barbell rows put all the weight directly onto your lower back with no support at all. And here's where things go terribly wrong. Your spine becomes a pressure bomb. When you bend over and row with bad form, you pack explosive force into your lower back. The more reps you do, the more pressure builds, until something inside detonates. Your discs are like water balloons. If you keep your back rounded, you're squeezing them from both ends. One day, that balloon bursts and spinal fluid leaks onto your nerves, causing searing pain down your legs. Your nerves are hanging by a thread. Row too heavy or with sloppy control, and you're grinding away at the very support keeping you from paralysis. Each rep is like dragging a rope across sharp metal, until one day, it snaps. And when it snaps, be prepared to spend between $30,000 to $100,000 on recovery. Your hospital stay could set you back $5,000 to $10,000 per night, depending on severity. Spinal MRIs and diagnostics run between $1,500 to $3,000 just to confirm the damage, and a laminectomy, removing spinal bone to relieve pressure, can cost over $50,000. Physical therapy and rehab cost from $200 to $500 per session for months, and pain management, including medications and injections, could add another $5,000 to $15,000 annually if surgery doesn't fully fix it. And let's not forget discectomy and spinal fusion procedures, which can cost up to $100,000. Most people who undergo back surgery never regain full strength and end up living with lifelong pain, stiffness, and movement restrictions. If you still refuse to quit barbell rows, you need to fix your form immediately. Brace your core. A tight core supports your spine. Bend your knees slightly to keep pressure off your lower back. Keep your back straight. No rounding, no arching, neutral spine only. And control the weight. If you have to jerk it up, it's too heavy. But what's even better? Try some alternative exercises. Chest-supported rows remove lower back strain while still building a strong upper back. Seal rows eliminate spinal compression by keeping you flat on a bench. And single-arm dumbbell rows let you lift heavy with full control and reduced spinal stress. These exercises help you build muscle without wrecking your back. You've been told they build your core. You've been told they're essential for six-pack abs. But what no one tells you is the reason why thousands of lifters end up in physical therapy, dealing with lower back pain, hip dysfunction, and even spinal damage. That's because of this exercise. Me personally, I used to do it every training session until I found out about this. And the fact that trainers, doctors, and people in general recommend this exercise is absolutely terrifying. Look at these statistics. 80% of adults experience lower back pain at some point in their lives, and herniated discs affect 5 to 20 out of every 1,000 adults annually. Once you herniate a disc, you have a 27 to 37% chance of it happening again within 10 years. Over 300,000 spinal surgeries are performed each year in the US, and more than 20% of spine surgeries fail. And this is just general info. Look at how high the numbers are. Now imagine if you're doing something that makes these numbers even higher. You're destined for disaster, all because of one exercise you never questioned. The hanging leg raises. This is why they're bad. They're not really an ab exercise. Your hip flexors do most of the work, not your abs. They crush your lower back. Every rep pulls your spine into a stressed position, increasing the risk of disc herniation. They throw your body out of alignment. Overuse of hip flexors tilts your pelvis forward, leading to lower back pain and poor posture. And they carry a high injury risk. Repetitive stress can cause hip impingement, nerve pain, and chronic stiffness. There are safer ways to train your abs. For example, planks build core strength without straining your lower back or overloading your hip flexors. Important to mention, you can still do this exercise, but there are some rules to follow, like no swinging. Momentum is your enemy. Keep your range of motion in check. Raising your legs too high adds unnecessary spinal stress. Control the descent with no fast, uncontrolled reps. And engage your core. If your hips do all the work, your abs aren't benefiting. This exercise has even killed people. Yes, people have actually died doing the bench press. So what makes it so dangerous? It's all about the position. When you bench press, you're lying on your back with a heavy bar directly above your chest, neck, and face. You try to lift too much. You don't have a spotter. You lose control. And boom, the bar drops straight onto your chest, throat, or your face. And it happens way more often than you think. Now listen to this. Over 90% of weightlifting injuries come from free weights, and the bench press is one of the biggest causes. Imagine holding a fridge over your chest while lying flat on the ground. If your arms give out, there's no escape. It's falling fast and it's falling on you. That's the bench press. It gives you no second chances because it looks harmless, but it's one of the most dangerous exercises in the world. But don't worry, you don't need to avoid it. You just need to do it right. And a little later, we're gonna show you exactly how. In 1 year alone, over 24,000 people in the US went to the hospital because of this next exercise. And that's just the cases that got reported. The funny thing is, there are no weights at all, but it sends more people to the emergency room than almost anything else in the gym. You press a button and you start walking, maybe jogging. You speed it up, and then the next thing, you're on the floor screaming. Most of us think treadmills are safe, but according to injury data, they're the #1 cause of gym-related ER visits. People get thrown into walls, smash into equipment, or get dragged under the machine while it's still running. It sounds funny until you see the injuries. And guess what? Most of these accidents don't happen while sprinting. They happen while people are just jogging because they're distracted. They're watching YouTube, texting, changing the song, and then bam, the treadmill launches them like a rocket. They're flying across the gym like a cartoon character. But why does this happen? Because the treadmill doesn't wait. It doesn't slow down if you lose focus. It just keeps spinning. That's how they end up with broken wrists, dislocated shoulders, or busted knees. Some even fall backward and hit their head. Now, if you want to train safely without guessing which exercises are risky, grab our guide. It walks you through exactly what to avoid and what to do instead. Train pain-free for life. In 2023, a tragic incident occurred when Delry Rosario, a 36-year-old mother of 4, fell and hit her head on a treadmill at an LA fitness gym in Washington state. She never regained consciousness and was pronounced dead at the hospital. Now, we don't want to scare you, but you need to be extra careful when you use the treadmill because of these things. You can still do it, but be mindful. And did you know that landing from a jump can put more than 6 times your body weight onto your knees? That means if you weigh 80 kilos or 180 pounds, your joints could be hit with over 480 kilos. That's more than 1,000 pounds of force every time you land. That's like putting a grizzly bear on your knees. Now imagine doing that over and over and over again. That's what makes box jumps so risky. You jump up, you land, you jump down, but one wrong move and your shin meets the edge of the box like a car hitting a curb at full speed. And here's the info you won't forget. In studies of plyometric training, improper landings are one of the top causes of lower body injuries in athletes. Even the pros with perfect form still get hurt. So what happens when regular people try it? Torn ACLs, the knee ligament you do not want to snap, rolled ankles and foot fractures, split open shins that bleed through your socks, even herniated discs from stiff, awkward landings. It usually doesn't happen on the first jump. It happens when your legs get tired, but your brain says, one more. So should you even do box jumps? Yes, but only if your knees are healthy, your landings are soft, and your form is perfect. Otherwise, skip the box, because it might not be worth the risk. What do you think? How long does it take to damage your spine? With this next exercise, about 1 second. All you do is bend down and pick something up from the floor. But here's the trick. That something you pick up is really, really heavy. Scientists say lifting heavy stuff from the floor can put more than 1,000 pounds of force on your back. And that's exactly what happens when you try to deadlift heavy. Imagine picking up a huge rock, heavier than your bed. If your back is straight and your legs are strong, you're safe. But if your back bends like a banana, or even just a tiny bit, you can get seriously hurt. Here's how it usually happens. You add more weight than you can handle, just to impress people. You don't warm up because you're in a hurry. Your form isn't perfect, but you think, hey, close enough. Then you pull, your back rounds, your muscles panic, and suddenly your spine feels like it's on fire. And just so you know, it's not always loud and dramatic. It can happen hours later when you reach down to tie your shoes, and then it feels like someone stabbed your spine with a screwdriver. Also, you know when someone faints mid-deadlift and drops like a sack of potatoes? It's not just from lifting too heavy, it's from the Valsalva maneuver, a breathing technique lifters use to brace their core. You take a deep breath, hold it tight, and push against your stomach like you're trying to pop your own head off. This creates massive internal pressure, which helps protect your spine. But there's a catch. Holding your breath too long while under heavy load causes your blood pressure to spike through the roof and reduces blood flow to your brain. Lifters have passed out mid-deadlift, hit their heads on the bar, or even bitten through their tongue on the way down. So, should you do deadlifts? Absolutely, but only if you're willing to do them right. And after the next exercise, we're gonna show you exactly how to do all these exercises without any risk of getting injured. People have become paralyzed just from standing still. That's the danger of this next exercise. It looks simple. You look like you're just squatting down to sit on an invisible chair. But if your feet are wrong, if your knees go the wrong way, if your back isn't strong, your body says, nope, and everything falls apart. Henrietta Paxton, a 40-year-old mother and PE teacher from Wiltshire, UK, was left paralyzed from the waist down after a gym accident in May 2024. While performing a 120-kilogram squat, the barbell slipped, crushing her spine. She suffered a complete spinal cord injury and now uses a wheelchair. And this isn't someone in a billion story. Squat accidents happen every year to beginners, pros, men, women, teens, and adults. Most people think the danger comes from how heavy the bar is, but that's not true. You could be squatting with just the bar and still blow out your knee or something worse if your form is off. The most dangerous part of the squat is the familiarity. You've done it 100 times. Your body knows the movement. You feel confident, maybe too confident, and that's when the mistakes happen. Because once something feels easy, we stop treating it with the same focus. Not because you're lazy, but because your brain thinks it's safe. That's the trap. So yeah, squats build strength, muscle, and boost testosterone. But if you ever stop giving them 100% attention, you're risking having a healthy future. Now let's talk about something even more important. How not to be the next gym fail video, or even worse, tragic accident in the news. Do not let your ego lift the weight. Just because the guy next to you makes it look easy, it doesn't mean you can do it too. Start light and learn the movement. Make it look easy before you make it heavy. If you can't do it slowly and smoothly, you're not ready to do it fast and heavy. Warm up like it matters, because it does. Would you race a car without warming up the engine? Of course not. Your body is the same. Take 5 minutes to get your blood moving and your joints ready. Do bodyweight squats, arm circles, and light sets with just the bar. Always check your form, every set, every single time. It doesn't matter if it's your first workout or your 500th. Bad form is how people get hurt. Use a mirror or record yourself. If your rep looks like a noodle falling off a plate, fix it before you break something. Use safety bars or spotters when lifting heavy. If you are benching alone or squatting near your limit, set up safety bars or get someone to spot you. This isn't being extra cautious, it's being smart, because if you fail a rep, the bar needs somewhere to go, and that place should not be your face, chest, or spine. Stop if it feels wrong. Your body has alarms. Listen to them. If something suddenly feels sharp, pinchy, or just off, please stop. That's your body saying, please don't hurt me. You're not weak for stopping. You're smart for avoiding an injury. Do not zone out, ever. If your brain is scrolling TikTok, texting your ex, or thinking about what to eat later, don't lift heavy. Most injuries don't happen because people are weak. They happen because people aren't paying attention. Treat every rep like it could go wrong, and make sure it doesn't. Know the difference between lifting hard and lifting dumb. Pushing yourself is good, but forgetting everything you learned just to hit a new personal best, not good. Training smart means knowing when to go for it. Build for the long game. You're not just training to look good today, you're training to move better, feel stronger, and stay injury-free for years. That means using proper form, taking rest days, and not maxing out just to impress a stranger at the gym, because being the strongest guy in the room means nothing. If you can't walk without pain 10 years from now, every single day, millions of people are unknowingly destroying their shoulders, rep after rep. What's even worse, they won't feel the real damage until it's too late. One of the most popular exercises for shoulders is the upright row. Seems simple. Grab a barbell or dumbbells and pull them up to your chin. Now, as we all know, it's supposed to build your shoulders in traps. But what if I told you that every single rep is like dragging a rope over a sharp edge? At first, nothing happens. But after a while, the fibers start to fray and weaken, until one day, it completely snaps. That's exactly what's happening inside your shoulders. Here's why it's so dangerous. Your shoulder isn't just any joint, it's the most mobile joint in your entire body. It can move in almost any direction. But that flexibility comes at a cost. It's also the least stable. That's why shoulder injuries account for nearly 36% of all weightlifting-related injuries. The upright row does the same thing. It forces your shoulders into an unnatural position, squishing the tendons against your bones until one day they wear out and you feel the pain. And by the time you feel it, it's already too late. To make things even worse, shoulder injuries take the longest to heal compared to almost any other joint injury. Rotator cuff tears and impingements don't just go away overnight. Some require months of rehab, and in serious cases, surgery. Even professional athletes aren't safe. Shoulder injuries have ended dozens of careers in the NFL, NBA, and Olympic weightlifting. So ask yourself, is it really worth it? Every rep of the upright row is like rolling the dice with your shoulder health. And the most terrifying fact? The next one is even more dangerous, because it tricks you into thinking you're getting stronger while silently tearing your joints apart. You see it in almost every gym. Trainers love it, athletes swear by it. But the truth? It's one of the most damaging movements you can do. I'm talking about kipping pull-ups. At first, they look impressive. People swinging their bodies, cranking out rep after rep, making pull-ups look effortless. But they're not really pull-ups at all. Think about it. If you can't do a strict pull-up, why are you swinging into one? Would you sprint before you can walk? Would you deadlift without learning how to brace? Would you max out a bench press without building control first? Yet that's exactly what kipping does. It lets you cheat your way into an exercise your body isn't prepared for. Instead of using strength, they rely on momentum, throwing the body into the air and slamming joints into unnatural positions. And just like a car speeding over potholes every day, the damage adds up over time, until something finally breaks. That's exactly what's happening to your spine, elbows, wrists, and shoulders during kipping pull-ups. The extreme motion breaks down your joints, leading to injuries that can take months to heal, or worse, never fully recover. And once the damage is done, there's no quick fix. Herniated discs can take years to recover. Tendinitis in your elbows can make even simple movements painful. Surgery is sometimes the only option, and even if you heal, your body will never be the same. Now, if you want to train safely without guessing which exercises are risky, grab our guide. It walks you through exactly what to avoid and what to do instead. Train pain-free for life. The next exercise seems like it's really safe. But imagine this. You walk into the gym, ready for leg day, and you see a squat rack with a bar attached to a sliding track, the Smith machine. It looks safe because the bar moves in a straight line, helping you stay balanced. And that's why the Smith machine squat is one of the worst things you can do to your knees, back, and hips. A real squat lets your body move naturally, shifting weight and adjusting your balance. The Smith machine forces you into a fixed position, making your joints absorb all the stress instead of your muscles. There are countless videos of lifters snapping their knees backward because the machine made them overextend. One bad lockout, and your knee could bend the wrong way, permanently. Many lifters walk away from a Smith machine squat feeling fine, only to wake up the next morning with a locked-up lower back, a slipped disc, or even sciatica. Once that happens, it's months of rehab, or worse, surgery. Here's something to think about. No Olympic athlete squats on a Smith machine. No professional powerlifter trains on one. No strength coach in the world recommends it. Why? Because they know strength isn't just about moving weight. It's about control, and the Smith machine takes that away from you. So before you step into the Smith machine, always remember that. You're one rep away from a mistake you can't undo. It's time for the fourth exercise. You've probably done this one before, maybe in the gym, maybe at home. It's simple, requires no equipment, and makes your arms burn. But what you don't feel, at least not yet, is the damage building up inside your shoulders. That's exactly why bench dips are a terrible choice for you. Imagine pulling your arm too far back and adding weight to it. Your shoulder isn't designed to move that way. The deeper you go, the more pressure you put on your joints, tendons, and ligaments. Anyway, if you still decide to do this, you should have in mind that shoulder surgery has one of the worst recovery rates ever. If you tear your rotator cuff, 40% of people never fully recover, even after surgery. And if you tear it twice, the chances of full recovery drop to nearly 0%. To make things even worse, the average cost of rotator cuff surgery in the US is between $10,000 and $15,000, and that's before months of rehab. There are actual viral videos of people snapping their humerus in half doing dips. Why? Because when the arm is locked behind the body, all the stress gets loaded onto the weakest points of the bone and ligaments. You might think, that won't happen to me, but neither did the thousands of people who ended up in rehab, in surgery, or with lifelong shoulder pain from one bad rep. So before you drop into another set, ask yourself, is a small triceps pump worth the risk of permanent damage? Would you follow a diet that's been proven not to work? Would you keep doing an exercise that made your bench press weaker? Would you deadlift with a rounded back? Would you squat with your knees caving in? Then why are you still wasting time on a lat pull down that doesn't even work? If you actually care about getting stronger, it's time to leave this outdated gym myth behind. Because if you keep doing it, you're not training for strength, you're training for nothing. If you feel confused, you should be, because I'm not talking about regular lat pull downs. I'm talking about behind the neck lat pull downs. They feel tough. You think, this must be working. Maybe you saw someone jacked doing them, or maybe a trainer told you they're great for your lats. But here's the truth. There's zero scientific evidence that pulling behind your head builds a bigger back than pulling to your chest. In fact, you're making your lats work less. But that's not all. They're tearing your shoulders apart. Your neck takes the hit. Leaning your head forward to clear the bar crushes your spine, leading to stiffness, nerve pain, and headaches. And wonder? When's the last time you needed to pull something heavy behind your head? Never! The movement doesn't exist in sports, competition, or real life. So why are you still doing it? You've probably heard this 1,000 times. If you want visible abs, do more crunches. And for years, we've believed it. But this exercise is one of the most overrated in the fitness world. The idea that crunches build strong, functional abs is outdated. The crunch also looks harmless. You're on the floor with no weights, doing small movements. But here's the problem. Your spine doesn't like to be bent like that over and over. Think of it like bending a plastic straw. The first few times, it's fine, but if you keep bending it in the same place, little cracks start to form. And if you keep going, it snaps, and you can't fix it. According to Dr. Stuart McGill, one of the world's top spine experts, bending your spine over and over, like you do in crunches, is one of the main reasons people get herniated discs and long-term back pain. So what does that mean? Inside your spine, between the bones, you have little cushions called discs, and they keep everything soft and safe. But when you keep squishing them the wrong way, like in crunches, they start to bulge, like jelly coming out of a sandwich. Just imagine that. The truth is simple. If you want visible abs, it comes from your diet. And if you want a strong core, it comes from exercises that teach your body to stay solid, not fold in half. There's one exercise that makes you feel like a beast. Big dumbbells or heavy barbells, it doesn't matter. You just pick it up and start moving. It's called the shrugs, and a lot of people do it to grow big traps, those muscles right between your neck and shoulders that make you look powerful. It looks easy, it feels simple, but most people do it wrong. Here's what usually happens. They grab way too much weight. They start bouncing their shoulders up and down as fast as they can, thinking heavier and faster means bigger muscles. But it doesn't work like that. Every time you bounce that weight without control, you're putting pressure on the nerves running through your neck and shoulders, the same nerves that control your arms and hands. It's like pulling too hard on a loose wire. You start feeling stiff, your traps feel hard like rocks, but not because you built real strength. It's just tension and pressure that won't go away. And it shows. Your shoulders get pulled up toward your ears. Your posture gets worse. You stop looking strong and start looking stuck. Now, shrugs can build powerful traps, but only if you do them right. Slow down and use less weight. Focus on squeezing the muscles, not bouncing the weight. Control the movement from start to finish. What do you think? Why does everyone on leg day always start or finish with leg press? Probably because a lot of guys think it's the best way to build big, strong legs fast. But here's something you might not know. This exercise can actually destroy your back, and we're not even exaggerating. When you push that heavy weight, your lower back can flatten against the seat. This might not seem like a big deal, but it can really stress out your spine. The problem is, our bodies aren't made to lift like this in everyday life. Think about it. When do you ever need to push something really heavy with your legs while sitting down? It's not a natural movement at all. Gordon Waddell, a strength and conditioning expert, says this is a big issue. He warns that using the leg press with too much weight or bad form can put way too much stress on your spine. Joe Tata, a physical therapist, agrees. He points out that there's no real-life situation where you sit and push something heavy with just your legs. So, the leg press isn't really helping you get stronger for everyday life. But wait, it gets even worse. Using the leg press a lot can actually damage your back over time. Stuart McGill, a back specialist, says that flattening your back against the seat can hurt your spinal discs. That's definitely not what you want when you're trying to get fit and strong. One more thing to watch out for with the leg press. Some guys snap their legs straight at the end of the movement. This is really dangerous, especially with heavy weights. It can put a ton of stress on your knees and lower back. Now, if leg presses surprised you, then be prepared to be surprised even more, because what I'm about to show you next is maybe the most common problem you have. Have you ever wondered why your shoulders hurt after a workout? Let's talk about an exercise that might be the reason: the seated military press. It looks simple, right? Just sit down and push a bar over your head. Incredibly simple, but the truth is, this move can actually be pretty rough on your shoulders. When you do the seated military press, your shoulders are in a tricky spot. It's like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. Your shoulder joints end up in a weird position that can lead to trouble. And get this, it can even pinch nerves in your shoulder. Your argument could be, but I see people doing this all the time at the gym. Well, just because it's common doesn't mean it's good for you. In fact, a lot of fitness experts say this exercise can cause big problems for your shoulders. Gordon Waddell, a smart guy who knows a lot about working out, says the seated military press is not great because it doesn't let you use your hips to help. When you push something over your head in real life, your whole body gets involved. But this exercise keeps you stuck in a chair, putting all the stress on your poor shoulders. Waddell even has a funny way of putting it. He says, expect a painful court-martial to the physio if you persist with this one. In other words, if you keep doing seated military presses, you might end up needing to see a doctor for your sore shoulders. But don't worry, there's a better way to work your shoulders that won't hurt them. Instead of the seated military press, try the standing neutral grip dumbbell shoulder press. It's a bit of a mouthful, but it's much safer for your shoulders. Here's why it's better. When you stand up, you can move more naturally. Your body can find the right way to lift the weights without putting too much stress on your shoulders. Plus, using dumbbells instead of a bar lets each arm move on its own. This means you can find the perfect lifting path for each shoulder. But what I didn't mention is something that everyone sooner or later will have problems with. Let's talk about why the leg extension machine is not your friend. You've seen it at the gym, right? It looks safe and easy, but it only looks that way because when you use the leg extension machine, you're moving your legs in a way that's not natural at all. Think for a second. When do you ever sit down and lift something heavy with just your lower legs? That's right, pretty much never. This weird movement puts a lot of stress on your knees. It's like trying to open a door by pushing when you should be pulling. Your poor knees take all the force, and that's not good at all. Also, when you use this machine, you might be making some muscles too strong and others too weak. This can mess up how your legs work together. And guess what? That can lead to even more knee problems down the road. But it gets even worse. Do you ever curl your toes on leg extension? A lot of people do, but that can make tight muscles in your hips even tighter, and tight hip muscles can cause all sorts of problems. Luckily, there are much better ways to make your legs strong without hurting your knees. You can start with lunges. Lunges are great too. They work your legs in a way that's more natural and safe for your knees. The most important thing is to listen to your body. If something hurts, stop doing it. And if you're not sure how to do an exercise right, ask a trainer or a coach, or look at some of our videos on this channel. Now, how do you survive in a modern gym? First, stop chasing the pump. Forget how you look in the mirror for a second. Instead, focus on how you move, how you breathe, and how you recover. Strength isn't a reflection, it's a skill. Second, ditch the machines. Get on the floor, grab a kettlebell, hang from a pull-up bar, move like a human, not like a robot in a cage. Use exercises that make your entire body work together, not just one isolated part. That's how you build real strength. Third, kill the music. Bring silence back into your training. The silence lets you hear the signals your body sends you. That's how you prevent injury before it happens. If the gym blasts music non-stop, bring noise-canceling earbuds. Use them to block the beat, play calm music, or nothing at all. Fourth, fix the air. If you can't train outside, at least train smarter inside. Avoid peak hours and stick to areas with fresh airflow. Try to nose breathe. It filters out more of the bad stuff and keeps your nervous system in check. Don't just think about your muscles, protect your lungs too. And finally, remember this: a gym membership doesn't make you strong. Discipline does. Awareness does. So choose to train with intention, not addiction. I just showed you 20 exercises you should avoid, but my book focuses on the 9 absolute worst, the ones that send the most people to surgery. Get the complete blacklist plus safe swaps and much more for only $7.